If you love challah, wave your hands in the air and wave challah! Hi ladies, it's Raquel here. Welcome to Women Living Torah. In today's video, I thought I'd take you along with me as I prepare our Erev Shabbat meal. Erev Shabbat is the evening of Shabbat. So it's the meal that we have as we welcome Sabbath. It is the first meal of our day of rest. My Erev Shabbat meal prep begins actually on Thursday night when I feed my sourdough starter because I like to make sourdough challah. So I'm gonna feed my sourdough starter and then I'll see you in the morning. For my challah recipe, I need 1 cup of sourdough starter, so I'm going to feed my sourdough starter 1 cup of flour, and then I do almost 1 cup of water, but just slightly less water. Then I'll mix that up and set it on the countertop until I'm ready to use it tomorrow morning. I have a little trick here with my sourdough starter. I leave my sourdough starter on top of a plate on top of a bowl of flour. And that way it's really convenient for me to feed my starter because I know when I get really busy, sometimes that extra step of going to the cabinet, getting the flour, finding a scooper, all of that kind of thing just seems like it's just too much and then I end up neglecting my starter. This makes it really convenient for me to be able to feed my starter every time it needs to be fed, whether once a day or twice a day. So that's a little sourdough hack for you if you're a sourdough geek like I am. Good morning and happy preparation day for Shabbat. First thing I'm going to do this morning is get my challah bread mixed up so it can be rising and fermenting all day. And then later today, I'll actually start on our Erev Shabbat dinner. I adapted the sourdough challah from a yeast challah recipe, but if you go to WomenLivingTorah.com, I'll have a link to both the original yeast recipe as well as share the recipe for my sourdough challah. So it is about 3 p.m. here and I need to go ahead and get started on our Erev Shabbat dinner. This is what we're looking like on the challah. Normally I would use a series of stretch and folds on the challah, but today I had to go to the chiropractor for a morning appointment and I didn't have a chance to stretch and fold the dough, which is fine. It may not rise as nicely because the stretch and fold helps develop the gluten, but it's still going to make a beautiful loaf of challah. So first what we're going to do is prep our dinner and then we'll braid our challah and get that in the oven as well. Our menu for Erev Shabbat today is what I make pretty much every Erev Shabbat. I kind of took a break for a couple of years from this, but I'm back at it, and it is roasted chicken with roasted seasonal vegetables. So that's going to be potatoes, onions, carrots, and then I have minced garlic, but you can use fresh garlic too. I'll serve it with a side salad, which isn't much. I don't usually do anything special for my salads. It's just lettuce, and then I might add in some peeled carrots or some avocado, or it might just be lettuce all by itself, but we still like it. And then we'll have the challah, grape juice, and I was going to make either a pear or peach cobbler or crisp or something, but I actually have some sourdough pie crust in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that up and make a pear galette instead for our dessert. So let's get down to chopping up our vegetables. Then I'm gonna show you how I prepare my whole chicken for roasting. What I love about this meal is it's just a one pot dish. So it's very minimal cleanup after Shabbat, and I actually bake this in a glass pan. So so that if I need to store it, I can cut my chicken down the center, lay it more flat, and put a lid on it and put it in the refrigerator. So really easy cleanup for Shabbat and then after Shabbat. Chopped up, and that's going to create the bed for our whole chicken to sit on top of, and all the juices as the chicken cooks is going to go into those vegetables. It'll be really tasty. But now what I'm going to do before I put the chicken on top of the vegetables is make up a little olive oil and seasoning rub that I'm going to put on top of the skin of the chicken and under the skin of the chicken and rub it right into the meat. So this is going to make the chicken really flavorful. And one of the things I love about this particular meal for Erev Shabbat is that it can be adapted to a variety of different vegetables, to a variety of different spices and seasonings, so you get completely different flavors depending on what time of year it is, what you're in the mood for, and whatnot. So today what I'm doing is just a very simple kind of Italian seasonings inspired chicken. So I'm going to be using some garlic powder. This is an herbal mix of like Italian seasonings and salt and pepper. Here we go, pepper. I accidentally dropped my pepper container in the pot of soup the other day, so I'm using a bowl for now. I'm just gonna pour in a little bit of olive oil. It doesn't really matter how much because you can always drizzle any excess over the chicken. Then I'm gonna just do, I don't know, maybe like a teaspoon to two-ish of salt, maybe a teaspoon to two-ish of pepper, a whole bunch of the seasonings. And this herbal mix came from my ARTZA box, which is an Israeli Messianic subscription box. I will put an affiliate link in the description if you want to check that out. They send all kinds of really neat treats for the Christian Messianic home. And then I'm going to do some garlic powder, and we like things garlicky, so I'm just going to do that. And I use my fingers because I'm going to be rubbing this on the chicken with my fingers, but you can use a spoon or whatever. I'm just going to mix it up. Right? Here's what our spice mixture looks like. It's definitely very runny, but I've also done it when the spices really soak up the olive oil. Either way works. So now I'm just going to lift up on the breast skin and push my finger inside in between the meat and the skin. You'll feel little connective tissues. You can just move those out of the way, and then I bring my finger around to the side of the leg, and I push my finger in there on the thigh and the leg to disconnect the skin, and just do that on the other side. So leaving the skin on to help keep moisture in, but disconnecting it so that I can rub the spices on it. So now I'm just going to take this bowl and I'm going to pour it in on both sides, just a little bit, and then I start to rub it in. Then I pour some more in. I'm going to get it on the thigh and on the leg. Okay, do that other side. And I'm leaving just enough spice to rub on the skin afterwards. These are basically the same spices that I put on the root vegetables underneath the chicken, except I did add turmeric to the potatoes, and I just didn't even think about adding that to my chicken for some reason this time. I normally do. And then I added salt to my chicken. So I don't add salt to my vegetables because it draws moisture out of them and can make them cook longer. So, all right, so I'm just rubbing this chicken with all of the spices, and now it is good to go. And as simple as that, as quick as that, this is ready for the oven. I'm gonna cook it for about an hour, 45 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. When it finishes, I'll just sprinkle those vegetables with salt and it's ready to eat. Let's put this into the oven and then we will start to braid our challah. So it rose in the bowl, but not as much as it normally does, just because I wasn't able to do those stretch and folds earlier, but it's gonna be perfectly fine. I'm just gonna put a little flour down. My girl's helping me. This recipe is for 2 challahs, loaves, but I'm gonna divide it into smaller ones. Anna, there you go. Abigail. And then this one, I'll divide into 3, and then each of these, I'm gonna divide. All right. I'm just going to roll these out.
You know what they are doing? What? I'm not doing your bay. A room? Yeah. Not a roll bay. Mama, I'm not doing roll bay. You're not doing a roll bay? Yeah. War. You know now what I will do?
Okay. Change of plans on the pie crust. I took it out and I immediately smelled a lot of sourness to it. It's probably fine, but just not great for dessert. So I'm not going to end up making the pear galette after all. I'm probably just going to go ahead and do like a pear or peach crisp, which the oats won't be soaked, but it's a dessert, so it doesn't have to be the healthiest for you. are crisp in the oven. We are finished with our Erev Shabbat meal prep. Everything is cooking and will be done very soon, and sunset is happening, so we'll be ready to serve Shabbat dinner very shortly. From our home to yours, Shabbat Shalom. Have a peaceful Sabbath, a wonderful time in Yahweh's Word. Until next time, I pray that Yahweh will bless you and keep you. I'll talk with you later. Goodbye.